Hey everybody, and welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy. I'm your host Lex.
I'm your other host Dan, and we are your weekly video game news podcast here on ChipBit Radio, chipbit.net, broadcasting live.
Yeah, broadcasting live Fridays, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us on all sorts of social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, YouTube, and Steam.
If you consider, Steam social media, but we do.
Yeah, it has social media elements that people don't ever use, but they're there.
They're there.
And we're on them.
And we're on it.
We've got some things to talk about. I mean, I guess judging by the number of tabs Dan has open, you'd think we have a lot of things, but
some of one of them has like 4 tabs to itself, and another has like 3.
Oh, okay.
So there hasn't been a whole lot of really exciting video game news over the last few weeks. We have a really big story from this week that's related to stuff we've been talking about forever now.
The end of a saga.
The end of a saga. Odysseus has returned to his home.
That is how I would describe it, yeah.
The suitors of Sony. So yeah, we've got that. We've got some stories from last week as we were unable to broadcast due to technical difficulties. So we have a few of those, and I mean, let's get right into it. We often talk about Kickstarter games and like crowdfunded projects in general at the beginning of the show. This week I want to check in on Tim Schafers'
newest
Psychonauts
venture.
2.
Yeah,
Psychonauts 2, which he announced at the Game Awards as a crowdfunded thing on Fig, which is a website that actually allows you to invest in the project. So you potentially get returns on it once it's released, if it does well, which is pretty cool. Mr. Schaefer, under Double Fine Studios, put up Psychonauts 2 with a goal of $3.3 million. He's at 2.8, with 24 days remaining.
I'm surprised this has not already beaten its goal.
I was surprised too, and it's slowed down quite a bit in the past few days.
I still think it's gonna make it.
I think it's got enough time left that it can crawl there at this point.
But like, it's interesting when you compare it, because he announced it at the award show.
Yes.
And if you compare that to at E3 when they announced, what was it called? Shenmue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shenmue 3.
Shenmue 3. And that was immediately funded to the tune of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Now, I guess that speaks to the kind of audience that is watching the Game Awards versus, why am I blanking on everything tonight?
I don't know.
The other
it's gonna be a long one.
versus E3.
E3.
Obviously much smaller. But, when you think about the sort of cult hits that both of those game franchises are, like, they seem comparable in that way.
I believe Shenmue was asking for less than this, though.
Yeah, I think they were.
By quite a bit,
I
believe.
But they still made, like...
They made several million.
Yeah.
Like 2-3 million, I think.
Within, like, a day.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think this is going to make its goal regardless, which makes me happy because I like Psychonauts.
Yeah.
If you never played Psychonauts, you can pick it up on Steam for like $10.
And it's worth it.
Totally worth it. And if you have a computer that's not a complete junkie, you can totally run it nowadays. It's not. It's like from 2005. It's not going to tax your system very much. Speaking of that, you got your computer working yet?
I did!
Oh, fantastic.
Oh my gosh, now I couldn't re-image it.
This guy's got a boot from a solid-state drive, like some kind of future spaceman.
Yeah, future spaceman. There was a whole saga last week where I bought a solid-state drive to use as my primary hard drive in my computer because my main hard drive was dying. It was like it was dying a slow death. So it still works, but barely. And
the rheumatism is getting a little long in the tooth.
And
staying inside most of the day.
Yeah. I had so many problems getting the operating system on it because I also found out other parts of my computer had broken down and I just never noticed. Like the CD drive no longer worked, but since I never used it, I never realized. It was like a 2-day endeavor just getting that computer, getting the OS installed on the new internal drive.
Yeah.
But it's all working now, and oh my goodness, it's like butter. It's so good. It's amazing. Solid state drives forever.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm probably going to pick one up at some point.
I'm so glad that they are the future, because oh my god, they're amazing.
They're great, yeah. I'm going to have to get one at some point. So our other Kickstarter story is actually about a game that was Kickstarter funded back in 2013.
Oh, what game is this?
This is JRPG. It's like a strategy JRPG called Project Phoenix, which was being developed by a lot of actually Japanese game development people who put this project together. But not like it's not like an indie thing so much. These are people who are from the industry. I mean, I guess it is like an indie thing. This is not Kickstarter, but it's people who had experience in the Japanese game industry already. It wasn't just people getting started. Like to the tune that they had Nobuo Uematsu, who did all the music for the older Final Fantasy games. Like they have him for the music. So they got some big name folks in here. This game raised over like $1 million on Kickstarter. I can't recall what its goal was, but it surpassed it by quite a bit. $100,000 was the goal. This game is
that was all they were asking for it?
Yep. If you look at the graphics, it's pretty simple. It's
Okay.
like 2D sprite graphics with like kind of an isometric view. So
like old school JRPG.
like strategy JRPG.
Okay.
So like I feel like they probably could have pulled it together for that. But with the stretch goals they reached, it was going to be a much bigger project and everything like that. They have announced quite recently, December 9th, 2015, that the game will not be coming out this year as it was supposed to, but rather early 2018.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a really long extension.
That's a really long extension, and here's the thing. They had problems right off the bat hiring a head programmer. So they haven't been making this game.
And you know what? The guy they probably hired, he got divorced from his wife. There's just so much to do.
So much money in the hole.
Yeah.
Oh, Young Ventures.
Young Ventures.
So this game was not being made all this time. The creators offered an update called the State of the Game Update, where they basically said the script, textures, Unreal Engine 4 programming, and level design were all at 0% completion.
What?
They have, nothing.
It's been 2 years!
They have nothing. And they got, 10 times their goal.
But the score is done, right? Because that's what's important.
No. It is nearing completion. So they have music, so they can at least release a CD.
That's something.
At some point.
And it's a CD by, a guy I'd like to hear a CD from.
Yeah.
So I guess that's cool.
A pretty acclaimed composer.
Yeah.
So that's cool. People have been asking for refunds, though.
They should.
They should.
I would totally do that.
And
that's BS.
The developer has said to initiate refunds is to give up on the project, since there would be no money left to complete it.
But they haven't started it!
No!
So who cares?
If we make the decision to call it quits, then we will work out some kind of remediation with backers at that time. Until then, we are pressing on. I mean, I don't think they even have a head programmer yet still. I'm not actually sure.
So they did this through Kickstarter, right?
This is current estimates place development at about 2.5 years out from completion. This is 2.5 years from the time we get our full-time programmer on board. Which makes it sound like they still don't have a full-time programmer.
Or they are about to get one in a month. They've hired somebody, but he hasn't come in yet.
Yeah, but even so, this is bad.
It's really bad.
And to not give an update about it till this point is especially bad.
No, if they did this through Kickstarter, the people who funded this need to contact Kickstarter and be like, you need to
do something.
You need to do something about this, because this is not acceptable.
No, that's messed up.
Also, as we know,
it's not a couple month delay or something, or even a year.
Yeah, it's several years. But it's also one of those things where whenever we've seen these kind of horrendous delays and the fact that they're not communicating,
it never turns out well.
Yeah, the game never actually ends up coming out in these kind of situations.
Because if it's already a mess, it's going to stay a mess.
After this amount of time,
they've already proven that they can't manage the project. Is all there is to it, and
Mm-hmm.
it seems harsh to say. But how do you not get a programmer?
This fought 2 years in.
2 years in. How have you not gotten a programmer?
And you've done 0% on all of
you haven't even started writing a script?
Like, you'd think that you at least had a plot outline when you made the Kickstarter campaign.
Well, they do. They actually had a pretty fair amount of stuff, but you didn't write any dialogue or any of the story?
Like, nothing.
They have, like, a big, robust backstory and, like, setting information and characters and stuff, but they've done nothing with any of that.
And that also speaks to, because you don't need a programmer to do that stuff.
No.
And if you had all of the prep work done already that you brought to Kickstarter, you assume those same people are working, so what? Did those people who did all the prep work just, like, sat on their hands and did nothing for 2 years?
Yeah, what have they been doing?
Because it's not like they couldn't come up with any ideas, they already had the ideas, they just needed to, like, write the script.
Well,
And because they got money, they were now officially being paid to do that. So they've done more work for no money than they've done work for money at this point.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous.
What a blast.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's real bad. So, there's no other way to wrap that story up other than saying, you guys messed up.
You messed
You
up.
guys messed up.
You dropped your spaghetti all
Real
over the place.
Seriously. On that note, there was also an article from the same day, December 9th, on Polygon, saying that nearly 1 in 10 Kickstarters fail to deliver rewards, and Kickstarter, the company, says that they believe that is a reasonable rate.
That's the thing. I heard about the story too. And I do think that's a reasonable rate.
I do too.
Yeah.
I actually completely agree.
10% I thought it was actually much higher than that.
Yeah. Well, I first read the article title and I thought it was that only 10%
Succeeded.
delivered rewards, and I was like, "Whoa, is that true?"
That would be rough.
But
Although
no,
I would have still believed it.
I would
but
have still
been
believed
rough.
it. Yeah. Given the nature of the business that Kickstarter runs,
Yeah.
that's
A 90% success
That's
rate?
really
That's
good.
really good.
That's super good. Especially knowing people have been calling into question, like, how good an idea is it to actually give money to these Kickstarter games? What are the chances these are going to succeed? How many have succeeded? How many have failed? Seeing that overall they have like a 90% success rate puts some of those fears to bed, I think.
Yeah.
Like a 10% fail rate for a different kind of company seems much harsher to me. But given all the stigma, or not stigma, like all the conditions attached to this, and the fact that it is like, donate if you feel like it, give money if you want to, I think that that's a totally reasonable failure rate. Because if you're saying up front, you're giving money to this, it might not succeed.
Yeah.
That's fine. 10% is fine.
Totally fine.
As long as that disclaimer's there.
And look at a big publisher like EA.
Yeah.
If you were to tell me that 10% of their games got canceled before release, I would be like, yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable.
More than that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So yeah, this
We just don't hear about it.
this yeah. But this honestly, this made me more confident in Kickstarter than this story.
Yeah, but I definitely feel like most places frame this in a negative light. But I don't read it that way.
How did the Polygon article frame it? Did they just straight up by the numbers?
They kind of
state
just
the facts.
They kind of just stated the facts.
That's what I expect from Polygon.
Yeah, it didn't. The article didn't really take a stance one way or another. It seems it just kind of laid it out there. Yeah.
Although one of the caveats to this is there's the games that get made but do not. They're not
live up to expectations.
Yeah, they don't like. And I'm not just saying a game that you thought that was going to be good and was like kind of bad, but like there are games that have been kickstarted that have come out and just been broken.
That is true.
That happens sometimes. And I think if you were, maybe we'd be talking differently about this if someone had crunched the numbers and tried to figure out a way to factor that in. That would be very difficult because it becomes way more subjective at that point.
Right.
But that's more of what I would like to see. And that would really affect my opinion of Kickstarter stuff. But this is great. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Cool.
Good job, Kickstarter.
Good job, guys.
You did it.
Should free-to-play games be illegal?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
I
moving
agree
on.
as well.
No, so there is a really great video
From the new.
Yeah, Rooster Teeth's video game news channel. I posted it to our Facebook. It's interesting just because it's an 8-minute video.
Yeah.
And it just has a ton of sources and they clearly did a bunch of research on it. One of the things I really like about the No is they do just goofy fun video game news.
Yeah.
But they have, like, a staff there, and the staff actually goes and does, like, a butt ton of research for each video they do. And
they do a really good job checking their facts and things.
I'd like more so than a lot of online publications, like non-video publications.
Yeah.
Which always makes me think, like, okay, whenever I see, like, maybe not Destructoid, just because all their articles are really, like, quick and short, and that's sort of the point, is to just get them up really quickly, but sometimes when I see Polygon goof up, I'm like, you guys, I know you have a big staff there, you can do better.
Yeah.
But no, so they did this. Most of the crux of their article...
I can't remember the guy's name, but there's a specific Mr. Klifsky.
Yeah.
Who made a blog post saying that he believes that free-to-play games should be regulated by the government.
And this is from December 13th?
Even though he doesn't like government regulation.
It's very weird.
It's really bizarre. And they call him out on that in the video, actually.
Yeah.
That he's like, I don't want government regulation unless it's on something that I believe should be regulated by the government. Which is a really obnoxious viewpoint to take.
It's super obnoxious when people do that. Although one of the things is usually when people do that, it's like, oh, well, I don't work in this industry, so it doesn't directly affect me, but I think it should be regulated. Whereas this guy's like, I work in this industry, and it would make my life a little more difficult, but I think it should be regulated.
Yeah, which is also odd.
But not other things.
Not other things, though. The funny part is, I don't disagree with him. That I think there should be a little more regulation on these free-to-play games. And it's like, 99% of people who play these don't ruin their lives spending money on them. But you get those people who, like, have gambling addictions or some other kind of issue that may compel them to just dump money into these games. And those are the people that these game developers are targeting.
And
there's countless things from these game developers saying, like, we designed the games to do this.
Yes.
To manipulate you into spending money.
And there's the argument that is being made here that if they're addictive and
Which I believe they are.
Which, I think there's a pretty good argument to be made for that. How much is it like gambling, so should we regulate it in the same way we regulate gambling?
In some cases, that depends on the game.
I think that depends on the game, and also I think that one of the big differences that I think it boils down to is when you gamble, when you're playing a slot machine, or a pachinko machine...
We're getting into the argument of, like, what is a game of skill?
And what is a game of chance.
Yeah.
And I actually think there's a pretty good argument to be made that free-to-play games are games of chance. And they make that
some
argument...
of them, at least.
Yeah, they make that argument pretty compelling in the video, in some of the articles.
Yeah.
But I think then the bigger question for me becomes, when you're playing a pachinko machine, you put in that money up front, and then you may or may not get it back or win more.
Yeah.
Depending on chance. Whereas with free-to-play games, you're not putting any money up front.
Right.
But to the game have a better outcome in the game, you should spend money.
Actively designed to compel you to spend money.
But you still don't have to spend that.
No, but I don't think you can discount.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, that the game is designed that way.
But I think that's what the debate inevitably boils down to.
Right. And it's interesting that they also bring up, like, League of Legends and stuff. Because League of Legends is a free-to-play game, where you can pay for, like, premium items and costumes and things like that. But that's very different from, like, those phone games that are like, do you want to pay $2.99 for 3 more lives? Whereas League of Legends is like, no, play the game, and it's like a skill-based action strategy game where you can buy a funny hat for real money. So there's difference there, even, in how that all is received by people and is designed. And
yeah, you need, like, some kind of review board that could go game by game.
If only there was some sort of board that served the purpose of reviewing and rating video games for the American public.
And I think, because way back in the day, if there was, like, a game where you're in a house and there are vampires trying to kill everyone, and then it becomes a big deal in the government, so they decide to make a board to regulate that.
Some kind of board to regulate, like, entertainment software.
Yeah. If only such a thing existed. That's actually a really good argument. They should be looking into this. Yeah, and the fact that I don't think they have or intend to.
Yeah, I have no idea if the ESRB has played any part in looking at mobile games, really. Beyond that, it's a mobile game, rated E.
Do they even rate most mobile games?
I have no idea. I'm gonna look this up right now.
Now that I think about it, because I once in a while will download like free-to-play games. Like I just downloaded the free-to-play like Tetris game because I'm like, I don't know, I want to play Tetris for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't remember there being a rating on that. I don't remember
Candy Crush.
So I don't think the ESRB even
bothers.
They didn't even do it
Because it would say on
which is not good because it seems like from this article the most rampant abuse of the customer base is going on in mobile games.
Yeah, seriously.
So there are some great things that this guy talks about.
ESRB rating not applicable.
Yeah, they don't do it.
They don't do it.
Candy Crush Saga, ESRB doesn't even touch it.
If they didn't rate Candy Crush, they don't rate the other ones.
No. I mean, maybe Flappy Bird, but...
That's so bizarre. I never even thought about that until this point.
Well, now we know who to blame.
Yeah. Thanks, ESRB. Do your job.
Yeah, do your freaking job. But no, so... One of the things this guy talks about that I think is crazy is he talks about how if you are a whale, one of the big spenders...
For anyone who doesn't know, the industry term... for those few people who spend an insane amount of money on these games is a whale. I'll let you decide how offensive you think that is on your own.
It's real offensive.
It's real offensive.
But the idea behind I haven't seen all the numbers for it, but from what I have seen and what I've gathered, it's like these games are making a ton of money, but the actual percentage of people spending a significant amount of money is so small that it really does go to the argument that they are exploiting these people because these people are spending a ton of money.
Right. Because you get tons of players who spend nothing.
Yeah.
You get tons of players who spend $1 a month or something. And but you only get like those 5 or 6 people who spend their entire paycheck on this crap.
So they talk about their strategies for getting for hunting the whales, for getting them to spend more money, and they will, this is a direct quote from him, "We take Facebook stalking to a whole new level.
Oh, God.
You spend enough money, we will friend you. Not officially, but with a fake account. Maybe it's a hot girl who shows too much cleavage? That's us. We learned as much before friending you. But once you let us in, we have the keys to the kingdom."
Like, what the hell?
That's so shady.
That's the creepiest shit. They're con artists. It's a big con.
I think we have talked about before...
We've talked about shady dealings with free-to-play games before.
And not even necessarily just free-to-play games, but moments with the game industry. This is actually a reoccurring theme with articles we do. Moments at the game industry where the customer is getting screwed and how it happens more now than it used to. We talk about DLC. Mm-hmm. The newest Battlefront game, I think, is a prime example of that.
$60 game doesn't feel finished, but $60 of DLC.
And it will be.
And it will be.
Yeah, just pay $120 and you'll get the whole game.
Yeah, it's a racket.
And I've talked about it before, and I guess we just gotta talk about it again. Video game companies really are just doing everything they can to screw over their customers.
Totally.
And no one's doing anything about it. We had what's his name? Randy Pitchford. Randy Pitchford, go die. Randy Pitchford, with the whole Aliens Colonial Marines debacle.
Yes.
And then they take him to court in a class action lawsuit saying this is false advertising. Yeah. And under, any kind of normal business, you would be penalized for this.
And he Randy's his way out of it.
Randy's his way out of it. And the judge is like, nah, because, video games are different. Why? So it's just...
Why, though?
I guess maybe the protections for the consumers were just never there, and it hasn't been until probably the last 5 or 10 years that game companies have been like, oh yeah, these protections just don't seem to apply to us, so let's just exploit that as much as possible.
Gouge, gouge, gouge.
But, I only considering that court ruling, considering Battlefront is already getting a sequel because it sold really well, considering the way free-to-play games make money hand over fist, this is only going to get worse. Because no one is doing anything about it.
No.
And I think at the end of the day, that just speaks to, there should be more regulation on these things.
Plenty of games that come out that don't do this, too.
Yeah.
But you're right, because the ones that do come out like this are going to get worse. Until they realize they can't push it any further. It's
But oh man, that Facebook thing it's gross.
the worst. Who accepts friends requests from people they don't know?
That's true. I never do that.
Me neither.
That's not true. I did that once, and it ended up being a very nice person. I became very good friends with them.
Well, that's lucky, man.
But yeah, but that was a fluke.
Yeah.
That does not happen usually.
So let's talk our big story for this week, which is about Mr. Kojima, our old friend, Mr. Hideo Kojima, who has now officially departed from Konami.
Now, when did this news break? December 15th, I believe.
Their final screw you to Kojima of stopping him from going to the Game Awards just before
Man, that was
they
like, what,
officially
2
fired
weeks?
him.
A week and a half?
Yeah.
If they just officially fired him like a week and a half sooner.
I bet they did it on purpose.
Well, yeah.
At this point, I'm convinced that Konami just wants to, like, personally screw Kojima over. Because that's how it seems.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to see it any other way.
But he is no longer with their company.
Nope.
He is now gone over to Sony.
Yes, he was in talks with them earlier, and then they put out a little video that they are officially collaborating. He restarted Kojima Productions under Sony instead of Konami, and they already have a game in the works. Like, they're already going to get started on a project.
Amazing.
So,
Sony has been making a lot of very smart decisions lately.
Yes,
I mean,
they have.
we talked in terms of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
We talked about how Jade Raymond, they were like, make a AAA title, you know, like an action adventure game, but otherwise new IP, just go and make it. Here, have a studio.
Yeah.
And who was the other woman who got hired? She had written something, and I can't remember, but she was also a pretty prolific member of
I can't remember.
the game community.
I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah.
So the fact that Sony has just got it into their head that it's a good idea to be like, let's find the most talented people in the industry, hire them, and then give them creative freedom and lots of money. I'm like, well, it took finally a game company thought to do that. Somebody finally thought to do that.
Nintendo's been doing that to some degree as well.
I mean, yeah, since their inception, I think they've been doing that.
Because Nintendo on the Wii U, I mean, I know a lot of people don't have a Wii U. They've gotten a decent number of of third-party games, just because they said, "Here's a bunch of money, make us a game."
Yeah.
Bayonetta 2, for example, was basically made that way. Wonderful 101, Xenoblade Chronicles X, which I've been playing for the last couple weeks, and is fantastic, was just them saying, "Hey, Monolith, you made a cool JRPG for the Wii. Do it again." And they just gave them as much time and money as they needed. And Xenoblade X is freaking great.
Yeah.
The game's great. So, good on Nintendo also. It makes sense that Kojima went to Sony, too, because they definitely have a history, given how big Metal Gear was specifically as a Sony thing, like on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Even though it was published by Konami and all that.
Oh, is his new game going to be a PlayStation exclusive?
Yes.
Sony, you're a smart guy, Sony.
He said something about it. They got their new logo.
Oh, their new logo's rad.
It's really cool looking. It's like a cyber skeleton knight.
Oh, it's great.
It's really cool. He wants to deliver a game that will become a compelling franchise. He said something specific. It's a timed PS4 exclusive that will eventually be launched on PC.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
I get to play it.
Because he said some interesting stuff about it. This game's going to be completely new. It's not going to have anything to do with Metal Gear Solid or Silent Hill. Some people are speculating that he's going to make a different horror game.
Yeah,
because he
like
says it's not.
Yeah,
because he says like it's not Silent Hill, but he could just basically make what he was going to make.
Yeah, he should
as a horror game.
Because the new Silent Hills was going to be a departure anyway, or so they said. I mean, PT was certainly, but I think that
just
initially
make the full game PT. Just make that. People will buy the hell out of it, especially now. If you come out and say like, "Oh, this is it. Here's the spiritual successor to what Silent Hills was going to be. Everyone will buy it.
Everyone will buy it. It's true. And one of the things that I was I wasn't worried about it, but I thought was going to happen. I didn't think he'd be immediately scooped up by somebody because mostly because I didn't give Microsoft or Sony enough credit for being smart enough to immediately scoop him up.
Right.
I'm glad they did, but what I thought was going to happen is I thought he was going to, like, the next game he was going to make was going to be like an indie game, or he was going to do a Kickstarter, or like something like that. And I'm kind of glad he's not, because knowing he's going to have a AAA budget from a major studio means, yeah, if he wants to make basically the Silent Hills game exactly like it was going to be made, like, he has all the resources to do that. He could even just go and be like, oh, hey, Guillermo del Toro is going to collaborate with me on this project.
Why not?
Because it's not like they're going to have the money to hire him.
Yeah, Del Toro would want to.
He totally would.
He would totally be up for that.
Plus, I mean, again, look at Kojima's company's new logo. Del Toro would love it.
It's so cool. Yeah. In this article from the 16th, interestingly,
this is interesting. Yeah.
They say that their new Kojima Productions might not be just a game development studio.
All the more reason to get Del Toro in there. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
But no, it's we've known for a long time that Kojima has always been really into movies.
He loves movies.
He references them a lot. His games are very cinematic.
Like, he likes movies a lot.
He likes them a lot.
He has a drive jacket.
He has a drive jacket, and he pulls it off. So now he's talking about how, like, yeah, we might not make just games, we might make videos or movies.
Movies, animations, anything, is what he said. Because the focus is not on games, it is on digital content.
Yeah.
So it could be anything.
Maybe the PlayStation Network, that TV channel that has the Powers TV show on it, will make a TV show for that.
Yeah, there you go. He says he wants to put his focus on games first, and then once they establish an IP that people like, excuse me, then they can consider movies and videos. So it'll be like the next thing once they've established this new IP. Kojima's English language Twitter profile says that his body is 70% made of movies. So he likes movies.
You know what would actually be like really freaking awesome? It would never happen, but I just can dream that it would happen.
Yeah. Is
if Kojima goes to John Carpenter and says, "Can I make another Escape movie?"
Oh yeah.
Would that be amazing? For those who don't know, Escape from New York, it came out in the early 80s. I think it might have been 1980 or 1981.
Yeah.
And that has Snake Plissken in it, played by Kurt Russell.
Who is 100% the inspiration for Solid Snake.
Yeah, it's the same character.
Yeah.
So just the idea of Kojima being like, oh, I'm just going to make the next Escape movie. I'm just going to have Snake Plissken in it. That would be a really great way to give the finger to Konami again. Because he's like, oh, I still get to use this character.
Oh, look at that.
Isn't that crazy? It turns out I stole it from somebody else first.
Oh my god. Amazing.
But,
I'm excited to see what they do. They have this ridiculous picture they took of the whole, like, team. The new Kojima Productions team.
That's another thing to mention. Most of the higher-up people that worked with him at Kojima Productions at Konami have transferred to this company as well. So it's a very similar staff.
Which is good.
So it's basically it's still Kojima Productions.
I don't know the names of most of them. I do know Yoji Shinkawa, who's the man who did all the art design for, like, Metal Gear, character designs and things like that. Mm-hmm. He does all that really cool, like, watercolor art for those games. He's there still. They're still in together. Yoji Shinkawa, who also did a really cool Japanese movie poster for Pacific Rim.
Oh my god, he did that style for Pacific Rim? That sounds great.
That movie poster's really cool. Rad. It's way cooler than the American poster.
That's often true of, like, foreign movie posters.
Well, they tend to be more artistic.
Yeah.
In America, it's just, put the actors' faces on there, make them orange and blue.
Make them orange and blue,
whatever. You see a preview for that movie, Gods of Egypt? Doesn't that look like a big shit heap?
It does. But is the European poster amazing? I bet
it is, yeah. You know what poster is probably the best? The Ghana poster from Ghana, Africa. Remember I showed you all those Ghanaian movie posters? And they're the best thing ever?
You know, that reminds me, I need to look for Force Awakens Japanese posters. I just want to see what it looks like.
Me too.
I bet it looks rad.
I bet Finn's not on it.
Oh no!
It's bad of me to say, but there's some stuff.
Oh, Japanese.
Japan, no. Stop being innocently racist.
Hey, Dan. They're also innocently sexist. And probably much more so than they are.
It's almost endearing at this point.
There was we did that Dead or Alive story where they were like, "Listen, we can't bring the new Dead or Alive.
America can't handle this game.
Yeah,
America to the west.
To the west.
Period. Only the East can handle all them boobs."
And I was just like, "Oh no!" They were basically just saying, "Yeah, Japan is like super sexist, but it's accepted sexism
so
here,
it's fine.
so it's okay."
Yeah.
But okay. Bottom line. Kojima Productions, it lives. It's got a great logo.
Still got a good team.
Yeah.
Working for Sony with probably pretty much free reign.
Yeah, considering what their track record with some of their other
takeaway
companies.
from all of this news is be happy.
Yeah.
This is all good.
It's great.
Yeah. It is a good outcome to the drama between Konami and
The only
Kojima.
thing we can't get now is we can't get that interview with Kojima where he just shits all over Konami.
They totally have some kind of NDA.
Or I was just thinking that because now he is under Sony's umbrella, they don't want to talk smack about a different company, because that wouldn't be like professional courtesy.
I bet
kind of thing.
Kojima signed some sort of NDA when he left.
Considering everything else, probably, yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Do we have to?
A little bit.
A little
we
bit.
should talk about it
Just
a little bit.
mention it. This has made me extremely angry.
The fact that it's a multi-part series.
Yeah, the news story. So that's the news story. Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be a multi-part series. This broke, like last week, I think?
This is part of the move.
There was more stuff.
There is a little more to it. This broke December 7th. Saying that it was at Sony's PlayStation Experience. They showed a gameplay trailer. Looks great.
Yeah,
its graphics are beautiful. It's an Unreal 4 engine,
and it plays differently than
it's
the
got
original.
a Kingdom Hearts fighting style. It's like real time action-y combat,
which doesn't necessarily bother me. I still just like the old system, but
the art style transferred really well into 3D.
It did.
The game looks great.
Yeah.
The characters look great. Midgar looks great. All that. The big news, though, however, is that this is going to be a multi-part game.
So it will be released episodically.
Yep. We don't know how many episodes. I would guess 3 or 4, presumably. And the reason they give for this is that cutting up the game into installments means the team won't have to sacrifice as much content as would be necessary with just one game.
Okay, so that's the thing that bothers me, that statement. Because when you look at the original Final Fantasy VII, that was what? 5 discs? I don't remember.
4 or 5.
It was a ton of discs. I have it somewhere, but it's a ton of discs. For the time.
But at the time, that was on CD-ROMs.
It was on CD-ROMs, so they couldn't fit as much on. But that game is still massive.
Yeah.
It's
huge.
Yeah. And so back then, they weren't like, this game's too big, so we should make it shorter. Like, that wasn't a discussion that came up.
But video game development's a lot more expensive nowadays.
This is true.
Especially to make something that looks like this.
It does look very nice.
And with a game that's that big, this sounds to me like they don't want to remove as much as possible from them. But I feel like you could develop a game as massive as Final Fantasy VII back then in a reasonable amount of time, given the way graphics worked and programming worked and all that stuff.
Yep.
It was a much simpler prospect. Nowadays, to develop a game of that scale with this quality of visuals is absurd, as far as how long it would take.
Well, that's true. But
I don't disagree with you.
The time commitment thing doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah.
Because the fact that Final Fantasy VII people have waited this long, and they've seen this much at this point, that I'm pretty sure you could say, oh, 2018 or like 2020, and people still be like, yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, as long as you get the full game.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as there's no bullshit. Clyde better cross-dress.
Better.
I want to see it.
That scene's gonna be so hot in the new version.
I know! I bet he's gonna look super sexy.
Japan.
Just wear that dress for the rest of the game. Oh, yeah. I think that their explanation isn't completely unreasonable.
Well,
as far as
okay,
making it multiplayer.
but here it gets a little more annoying.
Okay.
Because then they talk about how, like, oh, and we also want to add content that wasn't there before.
They want to add new stuff in. I don't know what they'd add.
Well, I mean, you could explore more of the city or the other zones in the game.
I guess bigger areas.
Like, I hope they're not going to add more plot, because that would be weird.
They shouldn't add to the main plot.
But yeah, having side quests, having more zones, and I'm not opposed to that, but again, I'm like, okay, but if you didn't add those things, could you not make it in installments?
No, I feel like they probably still would.
They probably still need to, but it's just a little weird.
It is weird.
To say one thing and then the other.
So when do you think the first installment's going to end? Like, what point in the game do you think it'll cut off at?
I have no idea.
Is it going to be when you leave Midgar?
Probably.
I guess. That still feels weird, because that's not even that much of the game. It's gonna... it'll be interesting to see where they do end up deciding to cut it off. Like, are you gonna get all the way up to the point where Aerith gets stabbed? Spoiler alert.
Oh my god, how could you spoil
that? For like an 18-year-old game. The love interest dies. Because that seems like too much.
Yeah.
What would be an appropriately dramatic part to leave off at?
I don't even know.
I don't even know.
Also, I'm a little foggy on the story because it's been a very long time.
And then part 2 starts with Cloud in the wheelchair. And he's like, oh, I can't do anything. I have mana cancer or something.
But he still looks great in the dress.
No one can take that away from him. I'm wondering how they're going to do this too, because Cloud's character over the years has turned into such a, like, dark, brooding kind of guy. And in the original game, he's actually pretty goofy.
Yeah, he has a cross-dressing scene.
There's a cross-dressing, but just stuff he says, too. He's like, alright, gang, let's mosey. Like, edgy Dark Cloud would never say, let's mosey. So I'm really wondering how his characterization's going to be in this game.
How much are they going to rewrite that script?
I don't want him to be dark and brooding. I want goofy, likable Cloud. Sephiroth is dark and brooding enough for that whole game.
That's true. That's what he is.
Like, completely.
With his one angel wing and his katana.
Oh, God.
And his different forms.
He did it first. The original, the best.
That's true. You see a lot of middle school students doing art.
It's all Sephiroth.
It's all Sephiroth.
He did it. He started it. Edgemaster Supreme.
The original emo middle school kid artwork. Sephiroth.
The best.
The best.
With his 20-foot-long sword. Oh, no. That only he can use.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
There's something where it just says, like, only he can use it. There's no explanation given. Oh, he's such a Mary Sue character. It's not even really the bad guy, it's that Hojo dude. Hojo's a scumbag. I bet the summons are gonna look great.
Oh, they're gonna look amazing.
They're gonna look really good. So, I mean, I'm still pretty excited for this. I don't know if I'll pick it up right away. Especially if it's episodic, it may be one of those things where I wait till the whole thing's out. And just go for it. Final Fantasy VII's never been my favorite Final Fantasy, but I'd be willing to play through it again in a totally updated version.
You know what I just loved about it, and it has nothing to do with the story or the characters or anything, but
it's
just
the little blocky people.
Yeah, just the polygons. No, it's just the fact that it's this traditional JRPG, like, turn-based formula, but there's a timer on it.
You like the ATB system?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that's amazing, and I feel like it was
all the old FF
enough.
games, like, have that, and it's a really good system, and then they got rid of it for some reason.
Well, a lot of the older ones use the standard system where it's turn-based, but it's not. It's like Final Fantasy X, which is what
full
brought it back. Yeah, full turn-based.
And then you get, like, 12, which had some weird MMO style.
That was a little strange.
And then 13, which had an even weirder MMO sort of real-time combat thing going on.
But I was like, just put a timer on it. It's amazing.
Put a timer on it.
Just throw a timer on it.
Well, Final Fantasy X-2 has the ATB gauge.
See, I didn't play that because it looked dumb.
It is dumb. but the gameplay is like butter.
Well, that's good.
That game is horrible, but the gameplay's great. It's weird. The only reason I beat it is because it was actually fun to play.
Well, that's good. How many different outfits did you get?
A lot, but
Good.
then I ended up just using the Dark Knight outfit on all 3 characters for the rest of the game because it's objectively stronger than every other one. It's like super broken.
Makes sense.
It has one ability that just kills everything, so why not just have 3 Dark Knights?
Yeah.
Worked out great. I
Yeah.
beat the final boss that way.
I don't remember when we started. We started a little late. Where were we at on our recording here?
We got like 15 minutes.
Okay.
Speaking of Cloud, he came out for Super Smash Bros.
I forgot he was going to be in Super Smash
On
Bros.
the 15th, they did their final Super Smash Bros. Update. They did a Nintendo Direct with Mr. Masahiro Sakurai as a big send-off, because this is it. No more content after the stuff announced in this Direct.
Sure.
That's what they said.
I don't believe it.
I believe it at this point, given who they added. He said Cloud's coming out today, meaning the 15th, so Cloud's out.
Yeah.
People can play as him. Awesome. They also announced a new Fire Emblem character for the game, who's the main character from Fire Emblem Fates, coming out in America next year.
And the most unexpected character.
Yeah. They added Bayonetta,
They had
which I'm 100% okay with. Also, if you watch the video of her announcement, they did not neuter her character to make her more appropriate for this game, which is even better. But she's got all her moves and abilities from the game, like she has Witch Time to slow people down and stuff like that. She looks really, really cool. And
Oh, she's going to get an amiibo. She must be getting
they confirmed an amiibo for all 3 of these characters, so Cloud's getting one too. That are going to be available at some point. And there's no specific release date for Corrin from Fire Emblem and Bayonetta yet. Yeah. And there's amiibos for Rob, Roy, and Street Fighter's Ryu.
Oh, nice.
Available starting March 18th.
I love a Ryu amiibo.
So yeah, it's a cool announcement of this last little set of characters. Bayonetta won the character ballot that they did. Which is like, what character you want in Smash Brothers? And I guess she was number 1 pick in Europe, was in the top 5 in the US, but then was decided out of all the other options there to be the most viable to use because of her being recognizable, an IP they could easily obtain, and having a moveset that was, like, appropriate for the game. Also, Kirby with Bayo hair looks like Hideo Kojima.
He does. I was about to mention that if you didn't. Oh my god.
Oh, did you see a picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Hideo Kojima.
It's amazing.
Put a little drive jacket on him. Yeah, Bayonetta Kirby is fantastic.
Because there's no way that Hideo Kojima wouldn't use guns. He would use guns.
He would use guns.
Oh my gosh.
It's super good.
It's going to be the best part of that game.
Yep. So that's really cool. There's like a Bayonetta stage with music from her game and everything in there too. Gotta say, I was really still hoping for Wonder Red, but it wasn't meant to be. But Bayonetta's an appropriate substitute. They're both made by Platinum Games. So.
Yeah, so Platinum Games will get some love.
Yeah, they deserve to. Making good stuff for Nintendo. We were supposed to talk about this like forever ago. And by forever ago, I mean last week.
So there's a story from December 11th and then another one from slightly before.
Yeah.
About the Nintendo NX or just the NX or the Nintendo X. And the different patents that Nintendo has been filing for that people think are sort of for that system.
Yes.
And it is super interesting.
It's got a lizard on it. Which is just for effect.
So I guess, I forget the name of the company that's making it, but there is a company that has pioneered these new LCD screens that basically can be made in whatever shape you want them to be made in.
Yeah.
And Nintendo has filed patents to be able to use these specific screens and use them as controllers. So the idea for the controller is there's 2 little handlebars on it, like a normal controller.
Then it's an elliptical screen.
And yeah.
And the buttons are just on the screen.
Yeah, the whole rest of the controller is screen.
And the buttons are all on it, and you can change where they are
Mhm.
on the screen, so you can customize your UI essentially, or your HUD. No, not your HUD. UI, user interface. Yeah. So is this a handheld or a controller, or could it be both?
Well, that's the other story points to the things they want to the patents they filed for the system itself is
Seem to be
for
like a console handheld,
like
hybrid sort of thing.
So the idea would be that it seems like the next evolution of the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is that there's a separate device that can be used as a controller, but you could also walk away with it and play the game on it.
Right.
So that all sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's a neat idea.
And yeah, it seems like sort of the realization of the kind of concepts they were dealing with the Wii U.
And obviously this is just an early patent.
So we don't know if any of this is actually what they're going to make. We just think that that's probably what they're going to make because that's what they're putting out patents.
And they're just taking the patents out so they can.
Yeah. So I don't have to worry about somebody suing them again.
Yeah, like Philips.
God damn it, Philips. Also, is the way the system's supposed to run, which is more interesting and a little weirder, is it will run more off of cloud-based processing. And the idea...
Oh, yeah, this whole thing.
Yeah, the idea will be that the game will run better if
more people
have that system and are online connected to the network while you're playing it.
That's a bizarre concept.
Yeah, again, like, it's really cool, and it's the whole idea is it has the capability to give us games that actually run better and are more advanced than anything that's on the other consoles.
Right.
So even though you're buying a cheaper console, you could still potentially play, like, a way nicer game.
Because you have, like, cloud computing to do the processing work for it instead of the system.
Yeah. But that can easily backfire in a couple of ways. One being that
nobody buys it.
Either nobody buys the system or nobody buys that specific game.
Or people don't play online.
Yeah, or people don't play online. So then you have no one to draw from.
Yeah.
The other big thing is, one of the things we had reported on a while ago is Nintendo's efforts to reach out to third-party developers, and the idea that there's rumors that Nintendo NX will run Unreal. The newest version of Unreal. The Unreal Engine. So at first I was like, oh, that's amazing.
Unreal 4.
Yeah. Because so many people develop in that, it'll be so much easier for third-party companies to develop for the new Nintendo system. But if they're doing stuff like this...
And this has been a problem for them since the Wii. Is getting developers to bother to use these peripherals they make for their systems.
Yeah.
And these features. The Wii suffered less from it than the Wii U did. The Wii U really hurt from this.
Totally.
Developers struggled big time to figure out how to integrate the gamepad in a meaningful way.
Now, at least with this, with the controller that we're looking at in the little schematic with that patent, technically, if you're a third-party developer, you're like, okay, I'm going to develop standard AAA game. Like, I'm going to make the next Elder Scrolls game.
Okay.
You have your, like, equipment and, like, menu on the controller. That's the only thing that's on the controller. Like, maybe a mini-map on there.
Yep.
And then otherwise the game just looks like an Elder Scrolls game. Okay, that's fine. Here's my problem. If they're doing all this cloud computing stuff, then as the developer, when you make the game, you need to make the game be able to run at a very low minimum and then be able to scale. And
to
that's
a very high maximum.
And that's just not how games are made.
No.
Like, Nintendo would make their own games that are like that because, they're doing all that stuff in-house anyway.
There's some PC games that do that.
Sometimes,
but I feel like we're looking at potentially an even bigger range than you get with PC games as far as performance differences go.
And, like, that's not how anybody makes games. And asking them to totally retool the process at which they make games on a fundamental level like that
is unreasonable.
I don't think you can sell that. Yeah.
Studios aren't set up to do that.
So that worries me. It worries me deeply.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see where they actually go with this patent. If anywhere.
Yeah, like, it just depends if that's going to be the crux of the system or just an interesting additional thing the system can do.
Yeah. I guess we'll find out.
We're going to find out as we get into next year.
Good luck, Nintendo. Hope it works out for you.
You're going to need it.
Super Mario Maker, next week. This is an article from the 17th. Next week, Super Mario Maker is getting a free update that adds a bunch of new objects, the game creation tools, and which includes checkpoint flags, I believe. Unless those are already added in a different patch. But it's also adding new ways to search for levels to make it much easier for people.
Okay.
There's going to be a website you can search on separately from the game to find like specific things, and then I believe within the game they're going to be touching up. Or no, it's just going to be the website. But you can bookmark levels on the website, and then those courses will show up in the game because you link a Nintendo account between the two of them.
Oh.
It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
so you can go to the website and it's easier to browse through them that way, and then you can mark them and it'll bring them up on your game. So you can just jump right into those. So some nice quality of life improvements for Super Mario Maker. The fact that it didn't have checkpoint flags as a placeable item initially is weird.
That is weird. That's really weird.
Yeah, I found that out and had no idea why. But they're in there now. So you can put them all over your level. You can checkpoint every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes. Birds. Who doesn't love them? There's a growing genre of bird-based video gaming, such as Hatoful Boyfriend.
The smash hit.
Hatoful Boyfriend. And now we are getting Aviary Attorney, which is a kickstarted indie game where you play as attorney-at-law J.J. Falcon, who attempts to prove the innocence of his clients, who are made up of an array of animals. So this game is kind of like a Phoenix Wright-style point-and-click mystery-solving visual novel game, where the art style it looks like old scientific journal illustrations.
The art style in this is amazing.
It's great. It
makes the game.
It's really great.
You should just post the trailer on our Facebook so everybody can see this.
I will.
Oh my god.
And it is releasing tomorrow, December 19th.
I thought you said it was a Kickstarter game.
Yes.
Oh, the Kickstarter is happening tomorrow. Or is the game releasing?
No, the game's releasing.
So the Kickstarter happened a while ago.
Apparently.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I wonder how much it made. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, give it a look-see. In other news, do you remember the Star Wars game, Star Wars 1313?
I do remember that.
That was canceled after all the things happened.
Well, yeah, after
obviously
LucasArts was swallowed up by Mickey Mouse.
It might not be out of the picture.
Ooh.
We might be getting this game. There's been talks about that Darth Maul game they were making.
Yeah, they can go ahead and not make that, though.
Yeah, I don't care about that, but this might be cool. They don't want to turn... They've said... Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, said that they want to explore some of this unused material. They don't want to throw any of it away because they think it's really good. And it's just a matter of time and timing, I guess, for them to take a look at it and maybe do more with them. But it's more or less just saying the game is not dead. It's not gone. We don't know if it's going to go anywhere. But as of right now, it's not gone. And Star Wars 1313 looked kind of cool. It was a third-person action game set in the lower levels of Coruscant. And it was going to have you played as a bounty hunter, and it was going to kind of have a darker aesthetic to it. A sort of a film noir grittiness to it. It seemed pretty interesting.
It did. It's also, it seems like it's a very good idea for Disney to revive it, because we know they're making all of these freaking tie-in movies, and one of them is going to be a Boba Fett movie. So why not just make this game have a correspond to that?
Yeah. Why not?
Sure. It might actually be good. We would enjoy it. So this game, Aviary Attorney,
yes,
was on Kickstarter. It was in the UK that they were making a British game.
Oh.
They initially wanted 7,000 pounds.
Yes.
And they got almost 19,000. Oh,
good for them.
So yeah, they made pretty solid.
Of course, this game was made in the UK.
Look at the art style. Look at it. Look how classy it is.
Oh, it's so classy and British.
So classy, so British.
Here's an exciting final news story.
Oh.
Noby Boy I know that's your favorite, Lex.
I know it well.
You can't get enough Nobi Nobi Boy. Nobi Nobi Boy has been beaten 6 years after its release.
Oh my god.
So Nobi Nobi Boy, here, I'll play this little video for you with no sound so you can understand.
With no sounds, you can understand.
Maybe you'll understand. Nobi Nobi Boy is made by Katamari Damacy.
I was about to say, is it made by the dude who made Katamari Damacy? Because it immediately looks like that.
It's about to get there even more. Here you go. Made by Keita Takahashi, who made Katamari Damacy. It's a multiplayer PS3 thing. A lot of people say it's not even really a game. It's just weird. Here you go. You're missing the magic. You play as a character called Boy who stretches to accumulate points. And once you have stretched and accumulated enough points, you can spend those points on Girl, who is his love interest.
Well, yeah, obviously.
To help her complete her quest to unite the solar system's various bodies. And once that's happened, she needs to go back home to Earth. So it has taken players of this game, and it's a multiplayer game, so everyone kind of contributes, 6 years to do this and get Girl back to Earth. And they did it. They did it.
I'm glad that they kept trying.
They did it. They beat it. In the game's conclusion, it has a special... this game. It has a special... You get a letter from the cast at the game's conclusion, and it's a lengthy read which addresses heavy questions about the nature of the world and existence. It's dated February 19th, 2009, and it asks players how long did it take them to make it to that point. There's a bonus world at the end that opens up for players to traverse as well. And according to the video of this ending, that bonus world will only be available for a limited time.
Oh.
And Mr. Takahashi is currently working on a game called Watam for PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
It sure looks like something he'd make.
It does.
There you go. She stretched all the way. Look. She did it.
So weird. It's so weird.
Oh, Nobi Nobi Boy. Look at it, though. This is the bonus world. You gotta stretch and drag stuff around. So yeah, that's cool. They did it. I'm glad Nobi Nobi Boy's been beaten. I didn't think it could be beaten. I didn't realize it was one of those kind of games that you beat.
I didn't understand it enough to realize it was one of those games that was really hard to beat like that.
Pretty much. So yeah, what game's coming out? Are any games coming out next week? Yes. Hatoful Boyfriend Holiday Star.
Oh, thank goodness.
PS4 and PS Vita, just in time for Christmas.
Just in time!
It's a sequel.
I know what I'm putting in Dan's stocking.
Episode 4 of Minecraft Story Mode brings it almost to its ending already. They've been clipping along.
Let's see what Patton Oswalt does.
Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel.
Whatever that is. It's coming out for PS3? What?
Sure is.
Okay.
Well, there's still a market for that in Japan.
Oh, that's true.
Came out in 2013 in Japan. So.
Okay.
It's a JRPG. And Trine 3.
The Artifacts of
Power. I never really cared for those games.
I don't know what they are.
It's the one where you play as a rogue, a wizard, and a fighter, and they're just little side-scrolling puzzle-solving RPG games for Xbox.
Those are cool to kill time with.
They're fine. Yeah. But, there you go. What came out today? Under Rail.
For the Windows.
It's a post-apocalyptic, turn-based, isometric role-playing game.
Well, those are sometimes good.
Oh, you live in, subways. It's Metro 2033.
Oh, I see how it is.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's all these games that don't have release dates that were supposed to come out.
There's a couple, scroll back down. There was a Warhammer one, but it's not the two that are listed there.
Two?
It's
at 2 Saints Row 4 on Linux.
Secret of Mana for was coming out on Droid.
It was.
Oh, Space Hulk.
Oh.
That was what I was thinking of for the 40K stuff.
Wow, there's no information on this.
Yeah, that game's not
coming out. No. So yeah, there you go. Not a whole lot. You know what did come out today, though? Star Wars!
Oh, wait. The big thing that isn't coming out this year?
Elder Scrolls Legends, so yeah.
Dan and I were talking about it before the show. I saw an article about it, and I was like, oh my god, Elder Scrolls Legends delayed until next year. And I was like, Elder Scrolls Legends was coming out this year?
And I was like, what is that again?
And then we had to remember, oh yeah, it's Hearthstone.
Yeah, it's their Hearthstone ripoff.
Bethesda made Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Or Bethesda is intending to make Hearthstone, but not till next year.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. We have been Don't Copy That Floppy. After the show, go see Star Wars. It's really good.
Go see a Star Wars.
Lex hasn't seen it yet, but I have. I loved it. It's great. Go see yourself a Star Wars. And yeah, we'll be back next week with probably very little news. We should do like a special show. Will we be back next week? It's Christmas.
Oh, then we're obviously going to do a show.
I don't know if we're going to do a show on Christmas.
We can't not do a show on Christmas.
I don't think we're going to be able to do a show on Christmas. I don't think I'm going to be here.
No, we're not going to do a show on Christmas. But we might do one next week at a different time.
Maybe. Yep. Yeah. Depends on if there's any news.
Check our Facebook. Check us out on social media and you'll know.
You'll know. You'll find out. Oh. If we're not broadcasting, go on our iTunes archive and listen to us anyway.
Yeah. It's a great way to spend Christmas.
Yep. Just put it on your family will love it.
Family will love it.
Especially your grandparents, who know nothing about video games, probably. So yeah, until next week, or the week after next week.
Until next time.
Until next time. That makes more sense now, doesn't it? Have yourselves a happy holiday.
And remember, don't copy that floppy.
Don't copy that floppy.